sweetheart.
For the sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, happy, Thursday today. Lots going on since we were last in the studio. Of course, Minneapolis has seen its protests. The protests continue to happen. And really no more violence, nothing major since the shooting yesterday. But it has been really quite something to watch coverage of yesterday's events, where we saw that this had happened. We predicted what Mayor Fry was going to do and say, not necessarily just him, but like, what are the sides going to say? And right on cue, he comes out, but maybe with a little more aggression and fervor than I really thought that message would be delivered with. Like, usually there's kind of a wink and a nod, like, hey, if you're upset about this, time to get out there in the streets. When you have the mayor of Minneapolis come out and say that what ICE is doing is BS and that he wants ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis, you don't even have to read between the lines to see exactly what the people like Mayor Fry are trying to spurn in the coming hours and days. Now, I don't know how much you see something like this going and you like want to consume all of it. Are you in a position where, there's a riot? Is this made for you television? We've gone through this. We kind of started it here in our backyard with Ferguson. Do you remember 2014? Ferguson is on fire after Michael Brown's death, and all the narratives, they get spun out so incredibly quickly. And they're, in a lot of cases, intentional, deceitful lies that shape an issue. And then the literal fires are stoked. That's what happened in Ferguson, and the cameras could not get enough of it. The problem is that the more the cameras can't get enough of it, the more people want to find those cameras to be a part of it. So last night I got home from my son's basketball game and turned on the news, and Fox News was coverage wall to wall about California fires. Did you know that? Yesterday, Ryan, was the year anniversary of the devastating fires.
Oh, they were doing coverage of the anniversary of it. Okay.
It was clear that they had this pre-planned because John Roberts was live out in the Palisades. Okay. Kennedy, who has a house that is still nothing, was out there in like a sweatshirt and her glasses, but a ponytail, like being a person in the streets talking about the fire and what has transpired since then. You could tell there was a lot of production effort that was made in planning to bring that story to the forefront of everybody's minds because it was a year. And I turned on the news specifically to see, like, I wonder if Minneapolis is burning to the ground right now. I turned on the news expecting to see that. And Fox News was maybe touching in and out of it. I think Paul Morrow, what a busy guy. We're like, hey, can Paul come on the Annie Fry Show? And they're like, no. He's a super busy guy right now, which we respect, and we'll get him on here as soon as we can, which is the nice thing about being a Fox News radio affiliate here in St. Louis. Love having that partnership. But I thought, well, that's kind of interesting that you'd be talking so much and featuring so much the Palisades fire when, the news dictates that we should be live on the ground with mostly peaceful protests, live chyrons while the buildings behind you are burning. Isn't that the wash, rinse, repeat of news coverage right now? And nope, Fox wasn't there. So I assume that there was planning and production that went into being at a certain place at a certain time to acknowledge the year after these fires ravaged California and all of the political fallout and tragic loss of life, loss of property, loss of homes, everything that went into that. That is a story that absolutely deserved to be covered. Switch over to CNN. I said to my husband, because he was watching TV and I was doing some work at the counter, I said, hey, could you put on CNN real quick? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I go, I want to see if they're covering the protest. Sure as sugar. There they are, covering the protest. They're doing the thing. This is the playbook. We've got a officer involved shooting at a protest. Everybody get your playbook. Get to your places. Here we go. Tim Pawlenty is being interviewed by the CNN reporter on the ground. I failed to know her name. My apologies. Tim Pawlenty's a Republican, and he was doing a good job of answering her questions. All of her questions were trying to lead him into disparaging ICE and blaming Trump. And he wasn't doing it. And the way Tim Pawlenty was responding in that moment was not a rah-rah, I'm for the other side. He was actually responding as the person who had served as governor there. He was actually responding the way you would like to see somebody who represented actual people, like serve the people, in his responses. But here's what blew my mind. The little thing that identified who Tim Pawlenty was on CNN. CNN, live from Minneapolis, Tim Pawlenty, former governor of Minneapolis. Folks, it's Minnesota.
I was going to say, did you misspeak just now?
No! The CNN had I put a screenshot up of it, I think, on Twitter. I have a picture of it. They said Tim Pawlenty, former governor of Minneapolis. For the interview, how does somebody not go, who the hell put that up there? It's Minnesota, you doofuses. It never changed. You know, every time you have somebody up there and they're on there for a longer form interview or whatever, it'll say, this is who's talking, and then he says something that's quotable. And so then the quotable thing comes up as the summation of where we are in the interview. And then maybe here's the setting and why we're here, and then it comes back up to this is who you're talking to. And you just know that the next time it comes up that they're going to realize that Minneapolis, in fact, doesn't and didn't have a governor. Mm-hmm. It just kind of struck me as a joke to have CNN working really hard to steer the story in a specific direction and to not even be able to get that basic fact right. There got to be enough people who are looking at that screen in the control room to be like, hey, we got a problem. Switch it. Let's fix it. But it was particularly frustrating and predictable. And I think it's important to peek into what your opponents might be having to do or say or whatever. I find it refreshing that Tim Pawlenty was their guest and frustrating that they had both perspectives presented there. One was the former Republican governor of Minnesota and the other was the CNN reporter. Shouldn't there be maybe reporter live from the scene? This is what we're seeing right now. Back to you in the studio, Skippy. And then Skippy moderates between a left and a right. Or if it's an opinion talk show and it's Jesse Waters or Rachel Maddow. I mean, they have a show. They're being paid for their opinion, and you tune in because you want to hear their opinion because you love everything they say or you love to hate everything they say. Watching Tim Walz speak on this issue, they're politicizing this entire experience, and they politicized it before yesterday's shooting happened. It's important and worthy for you to know the name Renee Nicole Good. That's who was shot yesterday. Renee Nicole Good lost her life yesterday in Minneapolis because she engaged in a protest that didn't just happen. Remember when I asked you yesterday on the air, Ryan, let's wait and see what the facts are. Was she part of a peaceful protest 4 hours ago, and then she had to go pick up some groceries for her kiddo, and she was home from the grocery store. She just got in the wrong place at the wrong time, and ICE just popped her. We don't know yet, so we don't know that's not what happened. But now we understand that she all morning was part of these protests, actively using her vehicle to maneuver people and traffic and putting herself in a position where something like this could happen. The United States, Americans do not have the appetite in 2026 for keeping their mouth shut when the details, the visuals, the video evidence that we see right now in what took place yesterday, we do not have the appetite in this country anymore to sit down and shut up until someone tells us what we're going to say and think about this. We're not doing that anymore. I say Renee Nicole Good's name because she was a human being. She was somebody's mother. She was somebody's wife. She showed up there for a purpose that up to a certain point, she was exercising the same First Amendment that I'm exercising right now, and that I want you to be able to exercise right then. But we have to understand that there are barriers that cannot be crossed when it comes to the presence of law enforcement under the authority of the laws that are in place, that are put into place by the people who we elect to create them. That we have to trust in a system of law and order. There has to be order. And the people who have to maintain order are those elected officials to serve the people who elected them, and the enforcement officers that risk their lives to ensure that when it gets out of order, it will get put back in order. And in Minneapolis right now, we have a situation where the elected officials, the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor of Minnesota, are using this opportunity to never let a good crisis go to waste. Once again, we're seeing this play out. The words, the emotion that is being thrust onto the people is not one that looks to establish order. That says, everyone calm down, let's get to the bottom of the truth. That's not what's happening right now, and we've seen this before. It's intentional. And regardless of what Renee Nicole Good stood for in life, her life wasn't worth losing in a moment like what took place yesterday, where people in elected positions are actively advocating for ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. That's what they're saying. The elected officials are saying that. What does that do to people who are on the street? It is insightful. And it causes chaos. It is the opposite of order. How many dollars did the Democrat Party make off of the death of George Floyd? How many dollars did Black Lives Matter steal in the death of George Floyd? Is this a lucrative position for Democrats? And is there anything that Minnesota would like you to pay attention to instead of what had been going on in the news before yesterday? Is there a reason why these people would benefit from not stoking the flames, but setting them? Because right now what you're seeing in Minnesota, we've been here before. We know how this goes. And I don't believe that Americans are afraid to disagree with the forceful narrative that's going to be shoved down our throats when we can see with our eyes what happened. We understand the words, the context of what led up to this moment. And I am looking to the people who are trying to establish order. And those people are not running Minneapolis. And those people are not running Minnesota. The faster these people rage bait people into saying this is all about racism, the closer you know that they know they're cooked. They know that they are over a very serious situation in Minnesota, the fraud allegations, the corruption that exists. There are a lot of people who have known where the skeletons in the closet have been for quite some time because some of those people put those skeletons there. Don't get distracted, but also don't be the type of person who doesn't remember that Renee Nicole Good was a soul. She was a person who is not with us anymore because we have people actively stoking disorder and chaos, and it's got to stop. Back the blue, back your law enforcement officers, understand they are under immense pressure, wait for the facts, and judge every circumstance based on the facts of that particular instance. I think that's where America is right now. And it's good to be back. Let's take a break. When we come back, Hans von Spakovsky is going to join us. And he is going to talk to us about the authority that different law enforcement entities have in a situation like what's going on in Minneapolis. You've got local law enforcement, you've got federal law enforcement, immigration enforcement, all these people coming together. And then we heard yesterday from Governor Tim Walz that he would use the National Guard. And he's like, and they work for us. They're part of us. What the heck does that mean? That's why we talked to Hans. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
I'm gonna be strong. I'm gonna define. Don't worry about this heart of mine. See if I can go on and go. But don't turn around, 'cause you're gonna see my heart breaking. Don't turn around. I don't want you seeing me.
Civia Law, Todd Civia. I was just talking with him a little bit last night. I got to follow up with him. Todd Civia is easy to reach. 833-995-WILL. 833-995-WILL. He helped my husband and myself put together our trust. And, you kind of go into that. My husband and I were like, do we really have, like, the assets necessary for a trust? We've got kids. And, boy, if you have dependents right now, you got to get to Todd Civia at Civia Law and start that conversation about what's going to happen with your dependents. I mean, even at that, you got a house, you've got an asset. Reach out to Todd Civia and talk to him about what you're trying to accomplish, and then he can tell you the applications he has to make sure that you aren't going to get turned over into some probate system if your loved one passes away, that you're not having to fight with the court system in order to get the business done that you need to get done. That gives you the opportunity to go through the natural emotions of a moment like that because the affair is already in order. That peace of mind is priceless. The first 10 callers right now get their strategy session $300 fee waived. 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL. CiviaLaw.com.
Hey guys, are you dealing with low energy weight gain or issues in the bedroom? Game Day Men's Health is the premier men's health clinic in the St. Louis area with locations in Chesterfield and O'Fallon, Missouri. They specialize in low testosterone and sexual health, and they also help men and women with medical weight loss, vitamins, and peptides. They offer free consultations and testosterone tests with results in about 20 minutes. Get in, get answers, get back to the top of your game. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Again, that's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Gain peace of mind that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They give all their clients attentive personal service, even bring toys for the kids of the household. It's a family-owned and operated business for 25 plus years. They make sure you make the right choice for your home. So if you have carpets or hard floors, you're going to be happy for years to come. 3 convenient locations in St. Charles County, 116 Main Street, in Old Town St. Peters at Mid-Rivers and Highway 70, in West County on Olive, and the store in Darden Prairie. Michael's Flooring Outlet, IGotFloor.com. Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now.
We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information. Now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner.
We the people of the United States,
more perfect,
pure form of our perfect union.
National legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
Oh, Hans, it's so great to have your voice on the show today. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks, and same to you.
Well, thank you very much. There's a question that I have. I think a lot of Americans have it right now because the lines seem to have been blurred. Watching Minneapolis in a situation where a lot of us are braced for what we anticipate could potentially, build up out of the ICE-involved shooting of the protester yesterday. We hear the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, there talking about throwing the National Guard into the mix. We've got federal ICE agents there. We have local law enforcement, which my understanding was told to stay out of it. Do not get involved in stopping these protests and helping the ICE officers there in Minneapolis. Can you talk to us about the law enforcement entities present in this situation and who has authority over whom?
Well, the most important thing for people to understand is that the state government has no authority over federal officers. If they are carrying out their duties under federal law, then the states can't interfere with that. And in fact, there's a very well-known Supreme Court decision from the late 1800s out of California in which the state tried to prosecute a U.S. Marshal for shooting someone who was attempting to shoot a U.S. Supreme Court justice.
Ugh.
And the Supreme Court laid down the rule and said state governments cannot interfere with federal law enforcement if they are carrying out their duties. So any attempt by the state government there to try to criminally prosecute that ICE agent who was involved in that shooting is going to fail in the courts. And moreover, state governments cannot lay out requirements and conditions for federal agents. You may have seen that California, for example, like a number of states, passed a law prohibiting federal agents from wearing masks or doing anything like that. Those laws are void. They cannot do that. So that's basically the situation there. The one thing I would tell folks is don't jump to conclusions about what happened until this has been thoroughly investigated and all the facts have been looked at, all the videos have been looked at. That's the most important thing in any kind of incident like this.
Yeah, the rush to judgment is
yes.
It's so I did this yesterday on the air, and it was unfortunately fortuitous that I was so spot on with my prediction as to how, before we knew any details, the only report that was out there was that an officer was involved in shooting a protester, and I go, well, we know how this is going to go. The left is going to say ICE murdered the protester, and then the right is going to say that there was an attempt on an ICE agent and they were defending themselves. Like, that's the bare bones of what is going to politically come out of this. And then Mayor Jacob Frey, goes out there and he threw a blowtorch into a gasoline tank there. It was wild to hear him come out and use profanity. They tell ICE to get the F out of Minneapolis. I mean, does the mayor, Is this all standing on ceremony? Does he have any right to tell ICE to get the F out?
No, he does not. And in fact, the last time state and local authorities were doing that, as you know, was during the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. And so this mayor is basically showing the same kind of defiance to the federal government that the segregationists and racists of the South were. Now, here's the other thing for people to understand. That attitude of local mayors, of the governor, telling local law enforcement not to protect ICE agents, not to get involved when there are these kind of protests, they are the ones who are basically helping lead to these kind of situations.
Yeah.
Because all these protesters, these agitators, these people who want to obstruct immigration enforcement, they know they are not going to get arrested by local cops. So they organize this. They go do it. They wouldn't be doing that if they knew that they were going to be prevented from doing it and prosecuted by local authorities. So they It's the mayors and the governors who are encouraging this kind of behavior and these kind of incidents.
Hans von Spakovsky speaking with us, a national legal expert who we rely on wonderfully, former FEC commissioner and former DOJ lawyer as well. Is there a scenario? I mean, I would hope our system wouldn't be set up to allow for something like this to happen, but is there a scenario where we're going to have law enforcement officers, local, state, federal, whatever it is, law enforcement officers in the streets of Minneapolis with orders that conflict with one another across law enforcement entity?
Look, that could happen, but I frankly, I have no doubt that the sympathy of local law enforcement, including in places like Minneapolis, is entirely with the ICE agents. They know that these ICE agents are following orders. They're doing their jobs. And I got to tell you, I think if a local chief of police ordered his officers to try to interfere with and obstruct federal agents, I don't think they would obey that order because they would know it was an illegal, unlawful order.
Maybe that's with Senator Mark Kelly and the seditious six we're talking about. Because it kind of feels like that's where we're headed with this, with what we hear Governor Walz, just kind of the way, the candor with which they're discussing what ICE is doing there. They're telling them they need to leave. Is there anything about what ICE is doing in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, Hans, that you think is maybe skirting the very edge of the law? Maybe the Trump administration, the DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security, maybe they're getting pretty close to crossing the line here with what law enforcement looks like. You see any of that happening in Minneapolis with ICE?
No, I don't. If, for example, there is an outstanding deportation order issued by an immigration judge on an alien, they can be stopped and picked up anywhere. They have no right to object to that. The ICE agents are acting entirely within the law. Second, the Supreme Court has specifically said that if an ICE agent sees someone on the streets and has a reasonable suspicion that they may be an alien who's illegally in the country, they have a right to briefly stop them and ask them questions to try to determine whether that reasonable suspicion is correct. There is nothing illegal about them doing that as long as they stay within those grounds, even if it turns out their suspicion was wrong and the person is a U.S. citizen. Again, the Supreme Court's already looked at this issue in prior cases.
Yeah. Well, Hans, I appreciate the perspective so much on this because I think there's going to be a lot. It's always the framing when politicians put this out there, the framing of what they're saying to try to, spin the truth, to affirm their perspective, generally speaking, what provides them more access to power. We've got to be very diligent, and I default to supporting my law enforcement in incredible gratitude of the risk that they take each and every day. So we appreciate your legal expertise on this issue. We look forward to having you back again soon. Of course, the Supreme Court's going to be hopping in 2026, and you are our guy, Hans von Spakovsky. Always great to have you here.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. I want to take a quick break because when we come back, Carolyn Levitt is addressing the press corps, and J.D. Vance is going to be speaking here very shortly as well, and we will cover that on the Annie Fry Show as it is happening live, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Carolyn Levitt and J.D. Vance from the press room next.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before. We now have more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world, protecting America, fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Okay, we've got the chips, the fancy cheese, the sparkling cider. Oh, and I need to fill up the tank on the way home.
Look at the cart. We haven't even hit midnight yet, and you're already blowing your save money resolution for next year.
I'm not blowing it. I'm being smart. I'm using Upside.
Upside? That cash back app?
Exactly. I just claimed an offer, and just like that, I'm getting cash back on all these groceries. And I'll do the same at the gas station. It's how I earned an extra $250 this year.
Wait, $250?
Yep, that's extra cash I can cash out to my bank or throw onto gift cards to my favorite spots.
Download the free Upside app and start earning cash back now. Use promo code POP for a $10 bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code POP. Make your resolution easy this year. Download the free Upside app today and use promo code POP for an extra $10 bonus on your first purchase.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Do you believe the Minneapolis ICE shooting was justified? That's today's YouTube live chat poll. Let us know what you think. It is 12:35. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Built in the heartland, for the heartland. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Carolyn Levitt is addressing the press room right now with a statement regarding the Minneapolis shooting, and then Vice President J.D. Vance is going to come to the podium. Let's listen in.
Administration stand fully behind the heroic men and women of ICE and will always uphold law and order in the United States of America. The deadly incident that took place in Minnesota yesterday occurred as a result of a larger, sinister, left-wing movement that has spread across our country, where our brave men and women of federal law enforcement are under organized attack. Right now, immigration and customs enforcement officers are facing a 1,200% increase in assaults, a 3,200% increase in vehicle rammings, and an 8,000% increase in death threats. ICE agents are faithfully enforcing federal law to protect the safety of the American people by removing criminal illegal aliens from our country, which is exactly what nearly 80 million Americans elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance to do. Radicals in the Democrat Party are furious over this. They don't want our border secured or criminal illegal aliens being removed. As a result, Democrats are impeding immigration enforcement operations daily, creating extremely heightened and dangerous circumstances that make it nearly impossible for the men and women of law enforcement to simply do their jobs. Democrats are calling to defund federal law enforcement agencies who are protecting public safety. And Democrats are calling to abolish ICE and defund the police. That will never be allowed to happen under this president and vice president. The Trump administration will redouble our efforts to get the worst of the worst, criminal illegal alien killers, rapists, and pedophiles off of American streets. The Department of Homeland Security will continue to operate on the ground in Minnesota, not only to remove criminal illegal aliens, but also to continue conducting door-to-door investigations of the rampant fraud that has taken place in the state under the failed and corrupt leadership of Democrat Governor Tim Walz. Taxpayers have been ripped off to the tune of billions of dollars in this one state alone, and that is going to end, and people are going to be held accountable. The Trump administration has activated thousands of federal agents, doubled the number of U.S. attorneys in the DOJ office in Minneapolis, and surged resources to hold fraudsters accountable and demand justice for law-abiding American taxpayers and citizens across our country. And that's what brings the Vice President out here with me today to discuss all the Trump administration is doing and to make an additional important announcement on this front. So please, Mr. Vice President, will be joining us now.
Carolyn.
Thank you.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I want to echo some of what Carolyn said about what we're doing to combat the rampant fraud that exists in our immigration system, thanks to failed politicians and thanks to people who allowed the American taxpayer to be taken advantage of for far too long. I think it's important to understand why this matters to the American people. I am a father of 3 young kids, a lot of people in my generation. What is that going on there? Is that normal? Okay. CNN installed this broken camera just to throw me off my game, but it's not going to work. So here's the simple fact here. If you're a young parent struggling to afford childcare in the United States of America, there are programs that we have to make it easier for your kids to get in daycare, for your kids to get in preschool. Those programs should go to American citizens, not be defrauded by Somali immigrants and others. Make it hard for you to get the access to the resources you need. But number 2, making it easier for people who shouldn't even be in this country to fleece the United States and our taxpayers to begin with. We have actually activated a major interagency task force to make it possible to get to the heart of this fraud. We have Department of Agriculture resources that are focused on SNAP fraud so that people who need food benefits can get them, but illegal aliens and other fraudsters don't. We have over 1,500 subpoenas that the Department of Justice has issued to get to the heart of the fraud ring. We've done almost 100 indictments, mostly Somali immigrants, but also a few others. And of course, we're looking in with broad investigatory authority to a number of the instances of wrongdoing that we've seen in Minneapolis. But we also want to expand this. We know that the fraud isn't just happening in Minneapolis, it's also happening in states like Ohio. It's happening in states like California. And so what we're doing in order to help coordinate this remarkable interagency effort from the Trump administration, but also to make sure that we prosecute the bad guys and do it as swiftly and efficiently as possible, is we are creating a new Assistant Attorney General position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud. Now, of course, that person's efforts will start and focus primarily in Minnesota, but it is going to be a nationwide effort because, unfortunately, the American people have been defrauded in a very nationwide way. I want to thank a couple of people for their cooperation, in particular Pam Bondi, our Attorney General. First of all, for getting a lot of resources to Minneapolis to start to investigate and prosecute this fraud, really at an industrial scale. We've never seen fraud like this in the history of our country. Pam has been doing a great job to get the resources there to uncover it, but importantly, creating a job like this often takes months, sometimes even longer. When we realized that we needed this Associate Attorney General position, Pam got this person up and running in about a week. We're going to make the nomination hopefully in the next few days. We'll obviously let you guys know who that is when we do it. I've talked to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who has promised me swift confirmation for this official, but this is the person who is going to make sure that we stop defrauding the American people. And here's one final thing I'll say about this. I've heard a lot of people say that we need a special counsel to investigate fraud in the United States of America. I actually agree, and that's what this position does. It has all the benefits, all the resources, all the authority of a special counsel, but with 2 crucial differences. Number 1, it will be run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the President of the United States. And number 2, it's actually constitutionally legitimate. As you guys may know, the special counsel statute has some major constitutional questions. When we get the bad guys, we want to make sure we get them permanently and they don't have some legal technicality they can get out of, which is why we set it up as an Associate Attorney General. I'll take some questions, but I want to make just one final observation here. When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very
ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to read a quote from Tim Walz earlier today. He said, "When things looked bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held the line for the nation on July 3rd, 1863, and I think we may be in that moment now." Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Unrelated question here. I mean, Democrats have accused ICE of murder. They've said they're targeting Americans. They've told ICE to get the F out of Minnesota. This is going to stoke the fire against ICE agents, and you're talking about ICE agents right now and being concerned about them. What, if anything, is the administration going to do to make sure these folks are protected during these protests? But also, should DHS sort of revisit their procedures here? I mean, nobody wants to see an American killed. Are there changes that need to be made to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
Look, first of all, of course, nobody wants an American citizen to be killed. This is absolutely a tragedy, but it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights. What our ICE officers are doing is deporting the millions of criminal aliens that were let in during the Biden administration. So number one, we have to say, as a matter of leadership, and I would appreciate if the Democrats would join me on this, let's be honest about the fact that we have way too many illegal aliens in this country. Our ICE officers should be supported in doing their job. You're trying to actually marshal the far left lunatic fringe to engage in doxing, to try to make it impossible for them to enforce the law, and in some cases actually to engage in acts of domestic terrorism against our law enforcement officers. When you talk about different plans, different protocols, different policies, I forget exactly how you asked the question. Here's the simple fact. What we're going to do is make it easier for the American people's administration to enforce the American people's law. And that means that Democrats have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations, and that means that we are going to get tougher, and that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice, but we're going to keep on doing it, and this new AAG position is going to kick that into high gear.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it? Who's supporting it? Who's cheerleading it? And of course, if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for taking questions today. Is there a risk with you describing her as a deranged leftist, talking about very specific facts of these events, when an investigation is just beginning? Are you preempting a thorough investigation by drawing such conclusions? And have you received any information beyond the videos we've seen publicly about this individual, her specific acts, that has informed your point of view?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice is going to investigate this. The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who is trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left, who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers. I think what is clearly happening here, and it's going to keep on happening unless the Democrats wake up and say, you know what, you don't have to agree with our immigration policies. You don't have to agree with what the president or the vice president believe about immigration enforcement, but why don't you take this to the ballot box? Why don't you vote? Why don't you organize? Instead, what some of them are doing is encouraging people to get violent with our law enforcement officials. It's disgraceful, and it's got to stop.
Just to follow up on that question, and again, thank you for taking questions, Mr. Vice President. There's clearly a lot of emotion in Minnesota, across the country, over this incident. You're calling Renee Good a deranged leftist. There's been heated rhetoric that we've also heard from officials. What responsibility do you and the president have to diffuse some of the tension that we are seeing play out in Minnesota, bring down the temperature as this investigation is unfolding?
What we have a responsibility to do is to protect the people who are enforcing the law and protect the country writ large. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you deserve to have the people's laws enforced in the United States of America. Now, again, I'm not happy that this woman lost her life. I'm not happy that this woman was there at a protest violating the law by interfering with a law enforcement action. I think that we can all recognize that the best way to turn down the temperature is to tell people to take their concerns about immigration policy to the ballot box. Stop assaulting and stop inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's the best way to take down the temperature. And we're not going to give in to terrorism on this. And that's exactly what's happening. People trying to antagonize, to commit acts of violence. They throw bricks at them. Sometimes they shoot at them. Sometimes they dox them. Sometimes they go to their place of residence and harass their families. This is classic terrorism. And we cannot say that when a far left fringe is inciting violence against our brave law enforcement officials, that we're no longer going to enforce the law. That's rewarding the very people who are engaged in this garbage. The actual reward that they just got is a new assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate this stuff even more aggressively than before.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything like that. It would get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on is the real issue, that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You said earlier that
there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. I'm sorry, guys, what's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
The investigation is still ongoing.
I said next question.
Mr. Vice President, I mean, you presumably watched the video yourself. There's not the slightest doubt in your mind, having viewed it, that the victim, you still believe that she deliberately tried to ram him despite seeing this video?
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I am certain of is that that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she ran into the guy. I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know that she violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense. It raises an interesting point, though. Look, if people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation. What's not reasonable is for so many of you to plaster all over the media that this was an innocent woman and that the ICE agent committed murder, which is what many of you have said explicitly and some of you have said implicitly. That's what I have an objection to. The idea that this was not justified is absurd, and I think everybody knows it in their heart. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President,
in the green jacket.
Taking down the temperature, it seems like political violence is ratcheting up and riots could be around the corner. What steps does the administration have planned to try to unite America? Average people on both political sides are so tired of fighting with each other, and I think all the journalists in this room could agree with me that we don't want to be part of the problem. Do you have any words to unite America?
I know you don't want to be a part of the problem, and I think that's true of a lot of you. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, because the reporting over this has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in media. I've never seen a case so misrepresented and misreported when you have a guy who was defending himself and is now being treated as some sort of federal assassin by so many of the people in this room. First of all, let me say about crime. You mentioned violence. One of the things we're proudest about is that you saw violent crime over the last year drop by 20%. Why is that drop by 20%? Is it because we're attacking our law enforcement officers, or is it because we in the administration are empowering our law enforcement officers to enforce the law? I think that's one of the ways you take down the temperature, is you make people feel more secure and safe in their person and property. That's why we care so much about protecting our law enforcement, because it accrues to the benefit of the entire national community. I think that we can absolutely talk about the ways in which we can lower the temperature by discussing differences in a reasonable and rational way. Again, I'm happy to talk with any congressional Democrat or any of you about our immigration policy, about why I think it's necessary, about why I think it's in the best interest of the country, about why the President of the United States was elected to actually enforce the border for the first time in at least 4 years. So here's the problem. That's not the debate so many people are having. They are actively covering for people who are committing acts of violence against federal law enforcement. It is preposterous. The way to take down the temperature is to stop it. Have your debates about policy. Attack me. Attack the President of the United States. Don't attack our law enforcement officers. They are trying to do the job the American people demanded that they do. They are not policy actors. They are enforcing the law. They should be treated with a modicum of dignity and respect. And the fact that they're not is why incidents like yesterday happened. The one final point I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology. What young mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law? You've got to be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing, not just to protest, that's fine, not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get to that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish that she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to defend his own life.
Vice President J.D. Vance from the White House press room right now, happy to be able to take that live for you so you can hear from the Trump administration themselves speaking in their own words. And boy, am I glad to hear an administration that is willing to back law enforcement with heart and humanity. Incredible to hear that right now. When we come back, Tony Pham is going to be with us. He's a former acting ICE director on the latest, what ICE is doing in Minneapolis. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. An attack on the American people. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's how Vice President J.D. Vance describes what happened yesterday in Minneapolis, where a woman was shot and killed in a confrontation with ICE officers.
She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Though moments ago he also acknowledged it's possible the driver panicked, Vance says he and the president stand with ICE in the effort to enforce immigration laws. Protesters in Minneapolis call the shooting murder.
You felt like your stomach was being punched. Looking at the video, there seemed no justification.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling for a full investigation. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says a state agency is being shut out of the probe.
It feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome. And I say that only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment.
Though the governor has urged people not to believe what he calls propaganda, and the Minneapolis mayor has called ICE self-defense claims garbage. Vice President Vance also just announcing the administration is creating a new position to lead fraud investigations, an assistant attorney general
who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud.
He says this will coordinate an interagency effort already underway, focusing first on the ongoing fraud probes in Minnesota, but expanding to other states. President Trump shaming a handful of Republican senators who joined Democrats to advance a resolution that would limit his war powers in Venezuela without congressional approval. The president says that would hamper national security. America is listening to Fox News.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our temperature's still mild going through the afternoon, 63, but there will be periods of rain. It's a little bit windy, too. Showers, some rumbles around during the evening. It's windy, turning partly cloudy after midnight, 49. So this thing is in and out fairly quickly. Friday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 56. Colder for the weekend, 44 Saturday. Sunday, the coldest day, with a high of 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Don't freeze as it gets colder. If your furnace isn't working, Air Comfort Service can get you back in your comfort zone fast with a service call for only $99. Get your furnace serviced. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We just got done listening to Vice President J.D. Vance from the press room. Really, I don't know. I just think that man can speak straight to the point with nuance, with context involved in it, without taking anybody's false premise. When you get a question from the press and they set up a question for you that forces you to accept a bunch of incredibly untrue and biased things and then answer some slanted question, he's like, no, we're not going to do that. We are watching
50%.
Let's listen.
That's all.
Sorry, we'll listen to Christy.
Since Governor Walz has been in charge of Minnesota, we have seen homicides go up by over 50%. That's also during Mayor Fry's tenure as well. Since President Trump took office, Governor Walz has released over 470 violent criminals back onto the streets here in Minneapolis. He has another 680 of them still within his jurisdiction that he could give to us today to face the consequences for their crimes. Because Governor Walz and Mayor Fry refuse to protect Minnesotans and instead they protect these criminals, that's why we are here.
So there you have the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem explaining why ICE is present in the way that they are. And who better to speak to about this issue than Tony Pham, former acting ICE director, senior fellow in Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. Tony, a pleasure to have you on the show with us. We are grateful for your expertise here for our audience. Tony, can you hear us okay?
Oh, Annie, my apologies. I'm here. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to chatting with you and your listeners.
Well, we are grateful for the opportunity. You've been an acting ICE director before, so observing what's going on in Minneapolis, just leading up to the moment yesterday where an ICE officer acted what very much so appears to be in defense of his life to protect his own life in the shooting of the protester who was in her vehicle. Before that moment happened, what is in the minds of those ICE agents that are on the ground? They have a directive, they're there for a purpose, and now the protesters settle in. What's it like to be in those shoes?
In that environment, it adds kind of a very difficult, vulnerable situation for these agents and officers to perform their duties in apprehension. Knowing that these agents and officers, they develop a list of individuals that they want to apprehend. So they're already focused on the operational footprint to safely be able to apprehend those individuals, take them into custody, and then take them to detention or vetting for possible removal or presentation before the immigration courts. When you add in there a circumstance where 1, 2, 3, or multiple individuals, as we have seen in the media play out, where they physically inject themselves into a law enforcement sensitive operation, it adds another unique dynamic to the officer's psyche. They're now having to think through, okay, here's my training and here I'm going to approach this individual. Now my attention is diverted because I have this individual. What are they going to do? What are they up to? And are they going to create a harmful circumstance that I now have to react and respond to and divert my attention? And so that's why when we see all of these so-called brazen individuals who feel that they're empowered to put themselves in between the agents and officers and their intended targets to apprehend. They put themselves, quite frankly, in a very untenable position because those officers are going to have to react in order to clear the field and clear the area. That leads me to the much larger conversation of what I find to be disheartening, having lived through that environment in 2020 when these protesters would descend upon my home and targeted my wife and kids when I was the acting director. Was what is that environment? Who's fomenting that personal belief that has people believing that they can actually, inject themselves into these operations? And I go back, simply put, to the wrongful and horrible rhetoric that is being pushed out there by Democratic elected officials like Jacob Frey, Mayor Pritzker in Illinois, Mayor Wu in Boston, Massachusetts, likening, historically, since President Trump took office, likening our law enforcement officers to Nazis and fascists. The constant barrage of having and being called that, knowing that we have quite frankly, some unhinged people out there who are just looking for a reason or a justification to impede lawful enforcement actions makes no sense. And I truly believe that when they constantly denigrate our law enforcement officers, they create an environment where these individuals believe that it is okay. Yes. Now, I will liken this. Now, this is ICE, right? And I don't mean to dominate the conversation. I'll let you get a question in.
No.
I'm passionate about
keep going. You're doing
supporting
great.
these officers.
Yeah.
These folks out there put their lives on the line every day. But let's take for a minute, remove the fact that they carry ICE on their placket or their kit, their vest, their carrier, right? Mm-hmm. They could legitimately be local, state law enforcement officers conducting regular operations. In that context, in general, you don't see community members or woke activists descending upon these individuals, right, as they're doing their job. So what differentiates, local police doing their DUI checkpoints, as I call it, versus an ICE agent trying to conduct an immigration enforcement operation? It's the rhetoric that these elected officials continually push. These individuals are violating people's rights, which they're not. Yeah. And so that's very disheartening. I'm watching 2020 replay itself early on in 2026, and that's horrible.
I really think that 2026 is going to react differently. That's my intuition. I hope I'm right. Than what took place in 2020. We're speaking with Tony Pham, former acting ICE director and senior fellow at the Homeland Security and Immigration at America First Policy Institute. I think when I'm hearing what you're saying here, you're talking about the humanity of these ICE agents. And I think that we just heard the vice president say this from the press podium there, that he acknowledged the humanity of Renee Good, the protester who was in the vehicle yesterday and was shot by the ICE agent. I mean, those are the facts. She was in a car, an ICE agent shot her, but all the context surrounding that moment really does matter. And the vice president said, maybe she panicked and she swerved or whatever, but the larger context, very much so about what you're talking about here, the rhetoric that leads into that moment, all of that rhetoric matters. It has to matter in those standpoints. And our elected officials in Minneapolis and Minnesota, they seem dead set on trying to throw gasoline on a fire. Why would they want that for their communities that they're supposed to represent and lead?
Just listening to Jacob Frey, I call him the feckless mayor of Minneapolis, right? The guy, the way he talks, the way he sounds, and what he said the other day, I quite frankly believe disqualifies him from holding elected office.
Yes.
To simply get up there. Now, if I were a local Minneapolis police officer and I'm listening to my mayor be out there throwing out the F-bomb to our fellow federal law enforcement officers, right? Partners. That's exactly what we look at from that context. Was these are local, state, and federal partners whose mission is the same. That is enforcing the laws of the United States or the state or the locality. And if I'm up there listening to this mayor dropping F-bombs and telling my federal partners who are just basically doing their jobs, but then they're faced with this horrific situation where they have to react quickly, say those things, I would wonder if serving in that capacity for that mayor is the right role for me. And I don't mean to question their dedication to the law, Annie. We've lived through this through the summer of love in 2020, and I will tell you my perspective on any and all law enforcement shootings. I'm an attorney that represented police departments here locally in Virginia, right? So I understand the standard that we approach when we look at these shootings that involve law enforcement. Obviously, I take the position of, you know what, we need to temper the rhetoric. We need to calm the environment. This is a tragic situation for the individual who was shot, but we also believe that it's a tragic situation for the officer that was put in a position where they had to take a life.
Yeah.
I've never met a client who was a police officer who wasn't shook, who was not shook to the core that they had to actually utilize their weapon that they were trained over and over again to use, because you always enter in the multiple individuals I talked to in our depositions and briefings. I learned that they always regret and hate the moment where they have to make that decision. They just want to be able to go home at night to their families, and they want to make sure that folks in the community are safe. So when I look at these situations, there are two tragedies that happen. One is obviously the individual who put herself in a position to protest the operation, but also placing the officer in a position where he had to make a split decision.
Tony Pham speaking with us, former acting ICE director. I want to know what your thoughts are in your capacity as the acting ICE director. Mm-hmm. I tuned in last night, had a kid had a basketball game, got home a little bit later, and I thought, gee, I wonder if Minneapolis is on fire right now. Turn on Fox News. They were covering the year anniversary of the Palisades fire. It looked like something that they had probably planned ahead of time, and they were dipping in and out of coverage of Minneapolis as well. CNN, cameras on the ground, live shots, stand up, mostly peaceful, that type of stuff. What does it mean to you to have those constant cameras, the coverage, the spotlights? Is that harmful? Is it helpful for people to be able to see what's going on? What's your reaction to the way the media covers these types of events?
It could be helpful if there was some integrity in the coverage, right? If it shows the humanity of what these officers go through, what these officers are being asked to do. If legacy media like CNN wants to do a quick 30-second clip and cut to certain video vignettes that fit their narrative, then it's absolutely damaging, right? Absolutely 100% damaging. What I looked at, and is more anecdotal, and forgive me for going with anecdotal evidence or basis for have this conversation, is for the last year, we heard, and they played it over and over ad nauseum, all of the elected officials on the left who want to vilify these officers, due process, Abrego Garcia, we're violating their rights, ICE out, sanctuary this. But not once do you see a focus when an officer is assaulted, an ICE agent is harmed or hit, or has to confront a group of violent protesters. Not once do we get that human side, that human story. I mean, for crying out loud, 60 Minutes will do a 60-minute vignette on Kamala Harris and her screw-ups, right? Or even Joe Biden and his stuttering. Forgive me for saying that. I'm sorry. I mean, that's in the past. But truth of the matter is there's no focus on the individual men and women who wake up every morning. They leave their families and they took an oath. And I always go back to reminding your listeners everywhere across the United States, we have to remember when I was the director, one of the proudest moments was recognizing that I was leading an organization that was born from the ashes of one of the worst, the worst domestic terrorist attack on U.S. soil. It killed Americans. And from those ashes, the Homeland Security Act formed. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security got folded INS under that umbrella, changed it to ICE. And our mission set was to protect the homeland through enforcement of our immigration laws, because the commission found that the individuals who committed the 9/11 attacks exploited our immigration pathways through the asylum pathways into the United States, right? And so from there, the genesis of the organization yields much respect to the men and women who joined the organization. There were when I was there, a lot of legacy INS folks who were proud to sign up. You could hear it. Folks were signing up left and right, join the military after September 11th, right?
Yes, amen.
Because we were unified as Americans. We were unified on a common mission that we were going to protect the homeland and we were going to protect our nation and secure its borders against individuals who wish to gain entry illegally into to this country to cause harm. And it surprises, I shouldn't say surprise, it shocks me to listen to Mayor Jacob Fry stand there and exalt and extol the values and virtues of being a sanctuary city, of how many people they were able to let out of prisons and not turn over to ICE. I mean, the last data point I saw, and I believe, was we were able to capture close to 1,000 illegal aliens in the city of Minneapolis. Those are 1,000 individuals who should not have been in this country, who entered without inspection and illegally came to the U.S. and somehow relocated to Minneapolis. These individuals have criminal offenses on their records, and it was an opportunity for us to remove these individuals, right? I remember, if I may share with you a story about how great ICE is. We were able to catch in 2020 close to 50 to 60 individuals, some of whom had convictions for sexual assault, child sex predatory behavior. One individual even had, participating in terroristic action convictions. We were preparing for removal, and the illustrious congresswoman that, we all know, have gotten to know, up there came out on Twitter and called my team racist. For doing what? Again, it's that rhetoric, right?
Yeah.
It's a characterization of men and women who really just want to simply protect this nation by apprehending criminal aliens, but now because of the rhetoric, they have to then battle fellow Americans when they should be, expecting support in their efforts to protect our communities.
It's so important to understand what these are people who sign up. They're not drafted. They're not enlisted by their government. They sign up for this opportunity to protect and serve. And, I think to myself, and for me, I always like to look at the reversal of whatever the outcome was and just think, would we be treating the circumstances the same? And that's my final question to you, Tony Pham. What if that protester would have run over that agent and that agent would have lost his life? Would the elected officials in Minneapolis and Minnesota be advocating for the lost life of the agent, or would it be about, I shouldn't have been there in the first place? Because when I, in my mind, reverse the circumstances, I don't think that we're going to see that they're going to be consistent on the protection of life and the way they're speaking of the protester here. I think that the reversal of the circumstance would have affirmed their worldview just as much as the one we're unfortunately currently in.
My sad belief is because of their ideological beliefs, which they're driven by, their hatred of law enforcement in general, I think it would just be a blip, right? Yeah. It would just be a blip. That life of that officer would not have been mentioned in legacy media as much as this situation is being mentioned now, and no one's asking the relevant question as to who's actually responsible for creating that environment. And it's an unfortunate thing. We've seen situations, and I'll bring up Charlie Kirk's assassination, where those individuals on the left, they would be out there celebrating the loss of life, all driven by their hatred of this president, all driven by their hatred of ICE, who's literally taking felons off the street and removing them. And I just tell you, folks, I came to this country in 1975 as a refugee at the end of the war. My family and I worked through the immigration pathways and became naturalized citizens. We assimilated in 1985. And I had a true blessing and honor to lead that organization, recognizing that my duty to this country was to enforce the laws. That's the sentiment that is shared by every single man and woman that put on that uniform, that put on their ceramic carriers, don that placard that says Police ICE. They know they're going out there, they're ice skating uphill in certain environments, but they still do it anyway because the mission calls for protecting our country.
Well, and we are so grateful from where we sit, for every single man and woman who chooses to do that, because we do not have order without them. Tony Pham,
correct.
Please come back and talk to us. There's going to be a lot to discuss, and we appreciate your voice on the show.
At any time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Former acting ICE director, senior fellow, Homeland Security and Immigration at the America First Policy Institute. A very quick break here. At 1:30, Congressman Darin LaHood on the Annie Frey Show. We'll be right back. HomeShieldFoundationRepairs.com is the website. Go give him a look-see over there. Matt Hayes. Matt Hayes is going to be with us tomorrow for X's and O's here on the Annie Frey Show. Looking forward to seeing him and getting him back in here. I really am grateful to partner my favorite people in the world, you the listeners, with great people who are doing great things right here in our community. And the Home Shield Foundation Repair Team, these are more great people just like you. They're our neighbors. They're from here. They work here. It's a family-owned business that's local. Now, if you've got a foundation concern and you don't really know where to go with it, or you need a second opinion because you called the other folks and you're like, I don't know about that, Matt Hayes is your guy. 314-227-9636. That's the number to call and schedule an appointment for him to come out and look at the foundation that you are concerned about, and he'll give you an opinion about what you can do to fix it and a solution so you can get well on your way. 314-227-9636. Online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now is the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Hey Max, you look sharp in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world as a guide dog?
You bet, Daisy. And your purple service dog vest really pops against your shiny fur.
First day on the job for both of us. We've got this, right?
You bet. Dogs Inc. trained us well.
Ready to make a difference for our humans?
Born ready.
Discover how extraordinary guide and service dogs change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. The YouTube live chat poll today, haven't talked about it specifically as a poll a whole lot up until now, but definitely it's been a main topic of conversation. Do you believe the Minneapolis ICE shooting was justified? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? Go join us on the Annie Frey YouTube live and drop in, vote on the poll, but you can also text us thoughts if you so choose, 314-241-9797, a direct line into the show, so you can give us your thoughts on this moment in time. I don't feel as though the narrative drivers have as much of a grip at 10-2 on this story as the George Floyd story, the narrative that existed outside of that. Not at this point. There's so much video evidence that is out there right now, and I will play a couple clips for you a little bit later in the show about how other folks are covering this particular issue. I've seen on CNN in multiple different elements, they are covering this in a way that suggests that this is potentially a justified shooting. And it used to be like that would have been not something that you would have seen in 4 or 5 years ago when it starts to hit the fan. So give us a text, 314-241-9797. Do you believe the Minneapolis shooting was justified? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? Ryan, real quick before we take a break here, because we got to get Congressman Darin LaHood on the show with us in about 4 minutes here. What's your thought? Do you know yet? Can you answer?
I would love to say too soon to tell, because there's a lot more information I would just personally like to see about this, but I also don't know what else I'm waiting for. I don't know that there's going to be anything that could come out that makes me go, oh, now I can see that she really was innocent. This looks like a really difficult situation where you already, like your guest just said there, Tony Pham, you're already in a heightened situation. It's a law enforcement issue that does not regard you. You have inserted yourself into it. So you've said, I'm willing to take this risk. Now, usually that doesn't mean that something terrible is going to happen, but it did this time.
Jackie says on our YouTube channel in the comments, yes, the additional video footage from the driver's side was clear. She obstructed ICE, didn't follow orders, and proceeded to try running an officer over. He shot from in front of the vehicle. The bullet did go through the front of the windshield. So that was the entry point, which means the gun was in front of the vehicle. You can't, you're not shooting through the windshield from the side, and following through and hitting the actual driver. The one thing that I'm not sold on quite yet is that she was trying to hit him. And I appreciated J.D. Vance's comments we were airing a little bit earlier from the press briefing that he joined Carolyn Levitt, where he said, listen, I don't know what she was trying to do from her car. I don't know that she was driving at him to try to harm him. But everything that led up to that moment and the fact that there was an ICE officer in front of her vehicle, she drove the car towards the officer. I mean, all in a split second, the context of everything. We don't know what was going through her head at the time, but if you've put yourself in a position, like, there are consequences to our actions, and sometimes they're very unfortunate and very tragic. We're going to take a very quick break here. Congressman Darin LaHood is going to be with us when we come back. We're going to find out the latest of what's going on at Capitol Hill. A small majority there of Republicans in the House. We'll be back in just 1 minute with the congressman representing Illinois 16th District next.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
At Grasser Home Services, we're looking for happy plumbers to join our team. Plumbers who are polite, honest, and do the job right.
And love dogs. They must love dogs.
Plumbers who treat customers' homes with respect, care about the details, and show up on time.
Know a happy plumber who's great with dogs?
Have them call Grasser Home Services.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
From Alton to Wildwood, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I want to get straight to our next guest because I know we only have a little bit of time with him, but Congressman Darin LaHood, Illinois 16th District Representative with us right now. Congressman, thanks for fitting us into your busy schedule.
Annie, great to be with you. Happy New Year. Always good to be with you and your listeners.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. I want to talk to you a little bit, first and foremost, about the spending bills. I know January 30th is your deadline. Your majority seems to be shrinking by the day by unfortunate circumstance as well. Tell me what the Republicans are doing to get this spending bill across the finish line so we don't see another government shutdown.
Yeah, well, thanks, Annie. We're actually voting this afternoon on 3 different appropriations bills. Next week, we'll vote on another 3. What Speaker Johnson has said is we ought to get back to the functioning of government. That's passing 12 appropriations bills. The good news is these appropriations bills that we're passing in the House cut spending, help reduce the federal deficit for the first time in a long time. So we're working on that. Now, It's going to get tougher as we get towards the end of the month because these bills get larger and larger, the DOD bill and a number of other bills. But we're doing what we need to do to pass these bills, reduce spending, and get that done. I think shutting down the government, as the Democrats did in the fall, we got to make sure that doesn't happen again. And so we're working very, very hard over the next 3 weeks here to make sure that we pass these appropriations bills in a fiscally minded way.
Congressman LaHood, do you feel as though the Democrats have an appetite for another shutdown?
I don't know. I would hope not. I think that they did not come out a winner. The polls showed that, and other things showed that. But I wouldn't put anything past Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. You know, it's amazing, Annie. The far left wing, the Mandami wing of the Democrat Party is what's driving the agenda, and so they continue to double down on these progressive policies, and so that's really what's driving much of the Democrat primary. Is a lot of members of Congress are being challenged in primaries by the far left wing of their party, and that's dictating much of the direction they're going.
We're speaking with Congressman Darin LaHood. He represents Illinois' 16th District, a member of the Ways and Means Committee, House Intel Committee, and the Select Committee on the CCP. Congressman, we here, us Illinois residents, are looking at what's going on in Minnesota, observing all of the fraud that is being uncovered, and I am longing for the opportunity. I guess we got to get, a grassroots reporter on X to try to scoop some of the stuff going on in Illinois. You think we have any fraud that could be uncovered here in the Prairie State that might make a difference in what those Illinois tax-paying residents, federal taxpayers as well, are experiencing?
Of course, it's Illinois. You talk about the Prairie State, and I love the Prairie State, but I don't necessarily like Cook County, and I don't like the city of Chicago and some of the stuff that they've been engaged in. And so, as you may be aware, Annie, the Trump administration has paused the funding that goes to Illinois to these social service agencies, similar to the funding that went to Minnesota. I mean, to put this in perspective, we haven't fully uncovered this in Minnesota, but it could be up to $9 billion that was fraudulently stolen from taxpayers. So with no oversight, no responsibility, no inspector general looking into this. And so I'm glad the Trump administration has paused that money coming to Illinois. There needs to be a full accounting on this. We in Congress have a responsibility and an obligation to make sure that federal taxpayer money is being spent the correct way. And I wish I had more confidence in the bureaucrats in Illinois to do that. I simply don't. And when you look at the shenanigans that went on in Minnesota at these daycare centers, the lack of oversight, the lack of following up to make sure things were being done the right way, I think in a country where we're $38 trillion in debt, all of this needs to be brought to the attention of the federal government, and people need to be held responsible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people right now, at least before this incident with ICE took place yesterday with the loss of life with a protester who decided to run her car into an ICE officer, everybody was talking about Minnesota fraud, and Governor Tim Walz was on the hot seat. I think you look at a governor like Tim Walz and you say, did you know what was going on in your state, the fraud that was taking place, or did you not know? One is just as bad, if not worse, than the other. If that's taking place in the state of Illinois, do you suspect that the likes of Governor J.B. Pritzker are aware of fraud and corruption happening and a party to it?
Well, he can't be. There's no way. And I hope it's not going on in Illinois, and I want to give us the benefit of the doubt. But if it's happening in places like Minnesota, it sure as heck could be happening in Illinois. And you raise a good point, Annie. Remember, Tim Walz was all set to run for a third term. He was, enthusiastic about running for a third term and running on his record. That abruptly stopped this week when he decided he's not running. He will be brought before some type of either a deposition on a civil case or potentially criminal deposition, and maybe before a grand jury to account for what happened in Minnesota. And so you're seeing the ramifications of that play out. And again, we have a responsibility and obligation on behalf of taxpayers in Illinois to make sure that money's being spent correctly. And if it's not, people need to be held responsible.
Yeah, and we're looking to you and to your fellow congressmen and women to do everything you can, especially with the power of the purse, to provide that oversight and protect the taxpayer. Someone's got to do it, and it doesn't look like it was happening.
And let me just mention today, the Trump administration announced a new position, an assistant attorney general at the Department of Justice that will solely be in charge of looking into fraud. And so this is a step in the right direction. We look forward to working with them particularly in Illinois, to make sure that we are uncovering any fraud that exists.
That's fantastic to hear. Keep in touch with us and let us know how that's going. We are rooting hard for it as taxpayers and citizens. Congressman Darin LaHood, thank you for the time. It's great to have you back. Happy New Year.
Always good to be with you. Thank you, Annie. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Illinois' 16th District Representative there talking about the effort, which we've heard a couple times now from people who we've talked to today, keying in, spotlighting the fact that the administration is not, this fraud thing, there's not going to be a story that scoops their interest in exposing this. You combine this with a lot of the other economic things that this administration has done, and you pretty quickly get an idea of how vast and important to a responsible economic plan fraud has to be a part of it. We have to be looking into where people are taking advantage of our system, abusing our system, and essentially taking advantage of the taxpayer. I think one of the things that ticks me off the most about what's going on in Minnesota is just how brazen it was. Like, they're not even, they probably tried to be sneaky at first, and they're like, I don't think anyone's paying any attention. And then that just incrementally gets worse and worse. And then now you have a transportation. I guess good on them for buying cars, but they forgot to drive them and move them for an entire year's worth of time while taking millions of dollars from the taxpayer. Meanwhile, in the economy, while we are trying to claw back some of those fraudulent dollars that have been taken away from the taxpayer, listen to this CNBC news report here on the economy.
This is unreal, the movement in this number. Minus $29.4 billion. We cut it basically in half. Just consider this. In March, it was $136 billion. Right now, it's a whisker under $30 billion. We haven't been that small in a long time. I don't have enough records here to go back that far, but you're going back a ways. And here's the news on why it moved lower.
So you got CNBC reporting on the national deficit that we have. This has been cut in half.
Yeah, the trade deficit.
The
numbers he was giving were much better than half. I mean, he was like, look, this is half, but it's really like a lot more in the favor of almost not a deficit at all, going from $130 billion down to about 30. That's incredible in 1 year.
The news just keeps getting better and better and better on the economic front. And this is what we were told, of course, by President Trump is, what was going to happen in 2026, that there were going to be things that were going to materialize, that have been put into place, but we're going to materialize here in 2026. And in the midst of all of that, we are starting to see some of that. The 2025 GDP growth, quarter one, which GDP growth in quarter one would pretty much be a Biden thing for the most part, minus 0.5%. Quarter two, GDP growth, 3.8%. Quarter three, 4.3%. Quarter four, 5.4%. So growing quarter over quarter.
Wow.
Projected 2025 GDP growth overall, plus 3.25. So you have to, I'm not an economist. I get to talk to some here on the radio. I'm really interested in the multi-front war that this president has waged against all the different areas that have caused it's kind of like, take it to a super small scale. Like, sometimes you have to go to somebody or yourself and go, let's discuss our relationship with money. Let's talk about how we handle money, what we have, what we spend, what we save, what you invest in. And I mean, you could do a 360 on what the United States, the relationship that they had with money. The people who make those decisions, those elected officials that we send to Washington, D.C., or to Jefferson City, or to Springfield, what is our relationship with money? And those elected officials, they never have enough of it, And there's no limit to how much they're going to take. Take, for instance, the Mom Donnie clip that I played where he had that discussion with Martha McCallum. Martha McCallum says when he's candidate Mom Donnie, there are New Yorkers, wealthy New Yorkers, who pay 50% of their income, of their intake, 50% of their income in taxes. What is enough? What is a fair share? And Mom Donnie's like, I'm only asking for 2% more. And he says in that clip, this is the part that ticks me off to no end. It's not just, I want him to pay 2%, I want him to pay 52%. He says, and it'll be good for them. No, it'll be good for everybody else. You want to talk about fair share? Is there anybody out there not paying any taxes that could maybe pay 2% of their taxes? You're going to raise taxes on them? And in a socialistic society, of course, you're going to, soak the rich to provide what the, quote, government thinks is good for them with your money. And this is why I hate a smile. The service with a smile is really like theft with a smile. Mom Donnie's got this Joker grin on his face because he's so confident that he knows what's good for you. And he doesn't give two shakes of the fist as to whether or not you agree with him because he just knows better. I repeat. Socialists and communists sell you that they're going to help you defeat the man. They're going to take the man down because the little people need someone to help beat, the capital TM, the man. And if they're successful at getting elected to help you take down the man, guess what? They just become the man. The man doesn't go away, and the little people always stay the same. They're just so power hungry that they want to seize upon that opportunity to soak up that power and become the man, and then, boy, aren't you lucky to have him. Service with a smile. It's really awful. It's as un-American as it gets. And New York is gonna see a lot of that. In the meantime, when you look at all of the different fronts that this administration is fighting back for economic prosperity, like beyond your wildest imagination, here in the United States of America, it's not just about the money coming in, it's about the money going out. Where are we spending our money? We shouldn't be spending money in all these NGOs that are ridiculous and don't do anything anymore. We shouldn't be spending the taxpayer dollars on these ludicrous indoctrinating type of programs that are investing in a groupthink. That in the United States of America, under the First Amendment, we don't have to groupthink like that. We're not going to spend our money that way anymore. We are going to spend money on building up a military that says, here is where our border is. This side, ours. This side, yours. There's a line. We're going to enforce it. And we're going to look in places like Minnesota and everywhere those tentacles go out and say, if you're abusing the taxpayer dollar, you're going to go to jail for it. That's what we want to see. We want to see you locked up, not chastised. We want to see you put away so that the next person who has the opportunity to try to pull something like this knows that if you're going to screw around about this, you're going to find out what a jail cell looks like. We're investing in our home front. We're investing in building jobs and building infrastructure and building production, onshoring, buy American, trying to assess, the national debt. It's everywhere. This administration, I'm not an economist, so I wouldn't even know. We should ask one. What are they not looking at?
I'm always leery when a politician, government official at any level, local, national, whatever, says, oh, we're making major investment. Because typically that means they're taking your money and they're putting it in something else. They don't have any money of their own. But Trump, when he says investment, basically the whole first quarter of the year, he was bringing massive billion to $1 trillion actual private investment into the company. That's going to play out in 2026.
Two more exciting clips when we come back. One from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and another from your president. Talking about income tax. You want to hear what he has to say? Don't go away. We'll be right back. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com, 314-227-9636, 314-227-9636. Call Matt Hayes and have him come look at your wet basement so that you can get the problem solved once and for all. Knowing that you have water coming into your basement is stressful. It's stressful every time the forecast calls for rain, which I think it might call for maybe some storms tonight. That's last I saw. So if you see that's coming and then you immediately go, God dang it, we're going to have to, fortify the basement once again or move the things or whatever it is. Do you have a place in your basement that you don't even put stuff because it gets wet? Stop that. That's square footage in your house. It's valuable. Get it fixed once for all. But make sure that you invest in somebody who is going to do the job right the first time. Matt Hayes at Home Shield Foundation Repair is there to do exactly that. Call him and schedule a consultation at your home. He can look at what you need to do. 314-227-9636. That's 314-227-9636. And learn everything you need to know online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
2026 is an election year, and 97.1 FM Talk will be your home for every twist and turn in the 2026 midterms. 97.1 FM Talk. Keep it here for radio coverage that's 25 years strong.
Hi, Mark Cox with Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Welcome back, Gloria. You've been helping families for over 22 years with your guarantees, your buyers in waiting program, and you were telling me that between now and year end is a great time to sell. Can you share why?
Always good to see you. When it comes to timing, the spring and fall selling season have historically been the most active. However, due to raised home value and affordability, this market still has lots of sellers and buyers on the sidelines. Fact is, between now and year end is a great time to discuss the sale of your home. I have guaranteed sale program solutions for every situation, including instant multiple cash offers, 100% market value, or my trusted guarantee sale program, where I'll sell your home at our great upon price, or I will buy it myself.
Sounds like a plan, and the time is now. Call Gloria right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking you on today's events, well, yesterday's events really, do you believe the Minneapolis ICE shooting was justified? Your options are yes, no, or too soon to tell. And that does make it kind of tough maybe for some people. Joe says, yeah, but if I'm going to make a binary call on this one, then yes, this was justified. What do you think? How would you answer this question with the given answers that you can click on the YouTube live chat poll? 151. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
The Annie Fry Show is St. Louis conservative.
The IRS called criminal investigations, and these men and women, they are cool cats. They can take apart a balance sheet, and they can knock down a door and arrest someone. Like they go out on patrols, they can make arrests. It's this very interesting hybrid force, about 2,500 of them, and they led the charge here. So it was IRS CIs who uncovered the initial fraud and the prosecutions. So it's with that group, with other groups at IRS, and with the powers of the Treasury to track where the money came from, where it's going. We saw the very unsettling news yesterday that many people involved here with the administration of these programs have tried to go back and recreate documents, change documents, and we're not going to have that. We are going to hold people accountable. We're going to press this to the full extent possible. And like I said, I think that this may just be, it's a cold day outside, so this could be the tip of the iceberg here in Minnesota, but it's probably may not be as prevalent, but the dollars may be bigger and larger in other states. And just to put this in perspective for American taxpayers, for American families, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, believes that there is somewhere between $300 and $600 billion of annual fraud, roughly 10% of government spending that disappears due to fraud.
That's crazy. That's Secretary Bessent talking about the scope of fraud. You remember when we heard Steve Moore come on and be like, I like the penny tax or the penny plan or whatever it is. Cut 1% of spending across the board.
Yeah.
And it's like laughable to suggest that you'd be able to cut 1% of spending. 1 penny for every dollar. Here you have the Treasury Secretary saying the GAO believes that 10% of spending is probably soaked in fraud. That's crazy. And now we have, like, the thing that I appreciate so much is we have an administration right now that is so focused on economy that this isn't gonna be a we'll get to it thing. This is gonna likely be one of the main legacies of what this moment in time, this administration is able to accomplish.
Well, you said it, I think it was maybe before the show or in a break, that they're announcing, J.D. Vance announced that there's going to be an assistant attorney general that's just focused on fraud now. And I somehow missed that, looked it up. That's a fact. That's happening right now.
Yeah. And then I want to add, I said I was going to play 2 clips for you here real quick. One other thing, and boy, will this be music to many of our ears. I know it certainly will be mine. The President of the United States is from yesterday.
That at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay.
Okay,
I accept.
Go to break. There's nothing else to add here.
We don't need the details.
No, I don't need to understand it.
If there's no
I don't understand my taxes anyway.
income tax, then that's better for people's.
Can you imagine what the state of Illinois is going to do to us if our federal income taxes get wiped away? They'll be like,
I know what we'll do. We'll change the Constitution in Illinois.
Or we'll just do what we want and make them come after us in court until we've soaked them for as much as we possibly can. I mean, folks, the economy, it's the economy stupid. That's what James Carville says about the elections. That is still accurate. And when you're talking about having the trade deficit, in less than a year's amount of time, the amount of money that is coming into this administration, into our coffers. Now, Supreme Court, what do you got to say about tariffs? We need to know, and we need to know right now. They'll decide when we come back. No, just kidding.
Tomorrow.
We'll be right back. Don't go away.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast.
on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
AirComfortService.com. Always got to wait for that little thingy there at the end of that spot. Air Comfort Service is very familiar with my home because my HVAC system is basically completely from them now. Had to replace the air conditioner, had to replace the furnace, replace the water heater. They did the ventilation sealing, which is an AeroSeal duct sealing on my home to make sure that the air moves throughout the rooms in our house equally and evenly. But that's not all Air Comfort Service does. They do commercial service, repair, installation as well. So if you have an HVAC need, if your comfort zone is not as comfortable as you are investing in it to be comfortable, it's time to reach out to Air Comfort Service. 314-513-0091. You reach out to Air Comfort Service and you tell them what you're dealing with. If you're the office manager, you can say it squeaks and creaks or something like that, and they're going to come out and tell you what the squeaks and creaks mean. So you can call them at 314-513-0091 for home or for work. AirComfortService.com.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems, call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis, at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Sympathy and anger.
This is the Anchor Channel for Fox News Radio.
After yesterday's deadly shooting involving an immigration enforcement agent in Minneapolis.
There's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim of left-wing ideology.
Vice President J.D. Vance says
You're listening to the Anchor Channel for Fox News Radio.
Rhetoric that the officer was acting in self-defense as a car was driven toward him. Minneapolis officials have said the woman was shot and killed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our temperature's still mild going through the afternoon, 63, but there will be periods of rain. It's a little bit windy, too. Showers, some rumbles around during the evening. It's windy, turning partly cloudy after midnight, 49. So this thing is in and out fairly quickly. Friday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, 56. Colder for the weekend, 44 Saturday. Sunday, the coldest day with a high of 36. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Great conversations today with
Have supported the administration's plan.
Vice President Vance.
Hans von Spakovsky in the noon hour. In the 1 o'clock hour, Tony Pham joined us. He's a former acting ICE director. Really interesting conversation with him. And to talk about the humanization of these agents who are out there. They are protecting and serving. They do have a law to enforce. I don't know why this is really complicated. It's not a novel concept whatsoever. The people who are out there protesting ICE, you should be talking to your elected officials, and you should be telling them to change the law. These ICE agents are not out there breaking the law. They are enforcing the law that you don't like and have a right to not like, but you've got a problem with the law, not with that person who's out there doing their job.
What's funny is that if they went to their lawmakers and said, you guys need to change this law, a lot of those Democrat lawmakers were the ones who were fine with and made those same laws 10 years ago and suddenly became not okay with them.
Our YouTube poll for today, and Ryan, let me know if you've got any texts that you want to read on the air. You can text us your thoughts at 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797. Do you believe the Minneapolis ICE incident was justified? You've got three options today. I think the only three you can have. Yes, it was justified. No, it's not justified, or it's too soon to tell. Brad, your thoughts?
Based on what I've seen, I would say it's justified. If I had to vote and pick one, I'm going to vote justified. I mean, the lady made contact with the officer. I think that something can be legal, justified, and absolutely tragic all at the same time, and that's where this falls for me.
Ryan, from the text line?
Lots of texts on this subject, 314-241-9797 if you want to text your thoughts. Here's one that says, I don't think she intended to hit him, but she did. She put herself there, ignored orders, tried to flee while obstructing the feds. It sucks, but she's only a victim of the liberal mental illness. How about this one? It says separately, and it stops there, F-A-F-O-E-D. F-A-O-F-O.
Yeah.
Played stupid games.
Mr. Fry, let's go to you, Mayor.
Won stupid prizes. This one says, why can't people comply with authority? If she wasn't involved, it wouldn't have been easier to go that route and stay alive. Just among a few.
Give us your thoughts. Keep them coming. 314-241-9797. If you want to text us, we would love to hear your thoughts on it. You can keep it right here. We'll give you the results. The poll is working today. If you came yesterday maybe they voted in the poll and it just didn't register. We got to yesterday and we're like,
flooded now. They're all coming in.
4 people voted in the poll yesterday, and one of them was Ethan. So we were like, man, we're not even going to go there with that. But today's is asking you if you think the shooting was justified. So we will get you those results at the end. We're going to have Annie, are you okay? Trisha's coming in 25 minutes, so you're going to keep it here for her wild stories. We got a real doozy one. One we're going to kind of tag team a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I promise that you are going to enjoy that story at 2:30. A little levity on a crazy day. But yes, still involving law enforcement. We've bumped Wiggins America 2 days in a row. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's become intentional. The first day I thought this is an accident.
Yeah.
Today I don't.
The first day it was a congressperson.
Yeah.
Mary Miller.
Yeah.
And Brad, who's scheduled like that.
Well, Mary Miller, she's a representative. She's busy. I understood that she had limited time.
To Brad, we can't do it then. That's Ryan's time. And Brad said, Ryan will deal with it.
Yeah.
Did Brad really say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He said, I'm not even going to talk to him about it. I'm just going to do it.
Hey, Annie, did Brad really say that, though?
Yeah, he's right there.
Oh, my gosh.
Right here, Ryan.
And then today is the Vice President of the United States, who was hitting bombs.
Oh, my gosh.
In that press conference. If you missed it, we carried not the whole thing, but the majority of it at the, normal Wiggins America time, which we're going to give him right now.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
All right, show us that we've been missing out.
This is a little awkward because when the vice president was doing the press conference, I was still talking. I didn't know that I wasn't on.
I didn't even notice.
And I did the whole segment, and I thought you guys were just uninterested, so I talked a lot.
Mm-hmm. What's the topic?
The topic is how to date maximum entitled high maintenance women. And I thought, well, maybe people are just offended and they're just not talking. But it turns out that I wasn't on at all.
Did you feel like we were on a date and I was so engrossed with myself that I just wasn't paying any attention?
I did not, because then I would have had to also been on a date with Brad, who's in the studio.
It's 2026.
We've been there.
Yeah, you guys actually have an anniversary. So real quick here, the source.
The source is the New York Post, but it's also this socialite woman who out of New York.
Probably some influencer blogger that writes for the Post.
That's exactly right. New York City singleton.
Follow-up question. This is written for people who would be dating in 2026.
Right.
So my initial question to you, and then I'm going to turn it over. When you're talking about a high-maintenance woman, is a high-maintenance woman that you would be dating today different than the high-maintenance woman that we were all dating in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Annie, I'm glad you asked that question.
Thank you.
Because I'm going to refer back to a super group, as you might call them, the Travelin' Wilburys. Now, the Travelin' Wilburys in about 1993 put out a song about a woman, and they all wrote a verse, and they were very various artists in this band. It was Tom Petty, it was Roy Orbison, it was the drummer for Eric Clapton, Jeff Lynne, and Bob Dylan.
You're kind of well versed in this.
Okay.
Do you know these things, or did you prepare?
Oh, you just asked the question. It just came to me.
I know, but you rarely have such a well-formed opinion.
This
I don't know what to do with this moment.
So this super group got together. Oh, and by the way, Beatle George Harrison. I forgot to mention him. He's probably the biggest star in the group.
Everybody always forgets George Harrison.
They came together and made a fantastic album, and then they made another album that wasn't as good. But that first one, they had a song where each one of those superstars sang a different verse about a woman of their time, which would have been about 93, 92.
The segment's almost over.
And
No kidding.
in that song, they described a kind of high-maintenance woman.
Yeah.
And at the time, the number one thing that I remember is that they said, she loves her bottled water. So a person from 30 years ago who was considered high maintenance now is common. So I think there is, to answer your question, a big difference between what would be considered high maintenance woman now and then.
That was a detailed answer.
It's a long
Now,
way.
Also, a pop-up video on the Traveling Wilburys. Thank you.
It's very true.
I need that sound effect when you're telling a story.
The song is called Dirty World, if you'd like to look it up. Now, this is a story all about how this woman's life got flipped, turned upside down. What the heck is that?
Just keep going.
And this is what she says that is the bare minimum for men to date her. And you can tell me whether you think these are ridiculous or not. But the first one is the man has to pay the bill.
You guys go first, and then I'll tell you if I...
If you split the bill, she says, I will never speak to you again, and I will slander you. Got to pay the bill. Brad?
She's talking about the date bill.
Yes.
I think
go on
the
a
guy
date.
should
No,
pay.
her power bill.
There are some high maintenance
what are the
women out
What
there.
happened in your dating
There are
history?
high maintenance women out there that are expecting men to pay their bills while they're dating.
This is
On
a
a date.
first date.
On a first
It's
date,
a first date.
a guy should absolutely pay.
I
That's
agree.
not outrageous.
I agree.
The
That's-
slander, if he doesn't afterwards, is a little much, but
I also agree with that. She says, don't split the bill. She'll never speak to you again. Fair. I agree. Now, it seems a little bit presumptuous that would always be the case, but
No, not if it's your
I
standard.
think that if you're the guy, you got to go into that date knowing you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Number 2, open the door. All doors. It says, I don't touch doors on dates.
Cabinet doors.
the bathroom door. Here you go.
Hey, honey.
Do you need me to get the stall door too?
Ooh. Getting a little tough.
Speaking of 2026.
But open the door. All doors. Fair?
Yeah, open the door for her. Car door, restaurant door. I think I would draw the line at the bathroom door, but like all socially
Guys.
acceptable doors.
You got to open the door. But guys, you got to do it cool.
Tell us how not
That's where I
cool.
draw the line.
What's not cool? What's a
Like-
way to open it that's not?
Tripping over yourself while you're sweating to be like, I got to get to the door, pushing her out of the way.
Her going, well, I'm opening the door, and you going, well, I was.
Yeah,
Take
that.
a bow, tip the cap, milady.
Listen, you pick up the bill, you got to be cool. You open the door, it's got to be suave. You can't be like fumbling with your list of things I have to do. And, oh, crap, I got to get to the door. And then you got to, you can't be like that. It's got to be
It's gotta be
Got to be
natural.
smooth. Lead her with your hand on her back while you open the door and let her enter the room. Make her feel like a queen. Be cool.
What about if it's an automatic door? Do you need to step on the little pad first just to show?
Tell her,
and be like,
hey,
milady.
hey, you're going to need to stand back here. I will part this door.
Can you act like you have the force?
Have the force.
I don't know a man who doesn't.
All right, number 3, let her order first. Is that mandatory
Mandatory.
or is that womandatory?
I'm letting you guys go first, and then I'm.
I think that's fine too.
It's just common courtesy,
Yeah.
even if you're not on a date.
I don't know that I've ever gone to a restaurant with my wife where the wait staff hasn't asked her first.
Yeah, that usually does happen. But do you ever order first
That's
anyway?
etiquette.
No.
I have.
I don't give a crap what my husband does when we're sitting down at a restaurant
we're-
long in.
I know. We're
like
at that
I've never
point.
like I would never be like, oh, excuse me, you're gonna order your cheeseburger before me.
What about a first date though?
There should always be a deference. And here's the deal: if she orders a cheeseburger and you order a salad, she shouldn't even stay for the cheeseburger. Bye.
Ooh.
You gotta you have to order something that has more calories than she does, no matter what.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you order a salad, you're also going to order maybe like, let me also have 10 rolls.
Get your checklist out and be like, hold on a second, I gotta check the saturated fat. You know, or RFK Jr. just said it's back in the can.
Hey, you know what? Butter every one of them.
Not that this is a problem for me.
Can you butter my lettuce?
But is the expectation that the guy would then have to eat all of the calories that are more than that she ordered, or?
I mean, you're not like there with a calculation. You need to order something. You need to out order her in let's say nutrition, but like kind of the opposite. And then you need to out eat her. She shouldn't be like I mean, I'm just saying this for me. I'm not saying this for her. I don't know her. I know me. If she's over there with her buttered roll cleaning her plate, you better go, hey, can I have that when you're done? I'd like to make sure it's
going, oh, this sauce. Oh my gosh, have you tried this curry?
I just can't take the thought of a first date seriously. Go on.
So to answer your question, Brad, yes, he does have to eat all 10 rolls. And if he gets full, he has to punch them into his mouth.
Yeah.
The last 4
just
or 5 of them.
Reach around to the other table, start eating their food.
Go down. Somebody didn't even eat the rest of that waffle. All right. Let her sit in the booth. So assuming it's a chair that has both the booth and the chair, let her sit in the booth.
Just let her pick her seat. I don't know that the booth matters.
I would feel a little weird sitting in the booth with a girl on a first date.
You ever
if she was in the
same-sider?
chair.
You same siders right now?
No.
Oh, heck yeah.
Opposite side.
No, we both got to see the game.
That's
Oh.
I
You don't gaze into each other's eyes? That's the point.
No, that's weird.
That's all
No,
we do.
gaze
We don't
into
talk.
the football game or the basketball game that's on the television. Or the really worst nights when it's like the rodeo.
We gaze into each other's eyes. I sigh. She sighs. I ram 5 biscuits into my mouth.
This is enough. I can't do it anymore. You can't stop.
But
It's
we
too
maintain eye
dangerous.
contact.
Yeah. Without blinking.
It's not fast. It's just constant.
I just got a text from someone who said they saw you eating with your wife at Applebee's the other day.
That's a little odd.
Yeah.
Especially since we weren't at Applebee's.
They said they didn't know it was you, but they saw what you were doing.
This is not even true. I would defer if it were.
I would never.
Number 5, offer to walk her home or to her car or to her Uber to prove you're not a wuss.
To prove you're not a wuss.
It's not to prove you're not a wuss. It's to defend against the bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah, but you have to not be a wuss to defend against bad guys.
But the point of what that is saying right there is, like, she's not a wuss, so she's doing it, but you got to prove that you're not either. No. If danger calls, man, you better be right in the middle of it, stopping it from hitting her. I don't know to prove you're not a wuss. What if you want a good night kiss?
Yeah, that's another good reason. Offer to walk her
Pay
home.
the meal and be like, all right, see ya. And she leaves and you're like, bye.
Best way to protect your woman on a first date is to bring some of those rolls extra with you in your pockets and then throw them at bad guys like your Gambit.
Yeah, if you want to practice, take her to Lambert's.
Number 6, do not mention your ex or your situationship or some other girl you used to talk to.
This is high maintenance.
This is supposed to be high maintenance women. This took a turn, didn't it?
Yes.
It's really not that unreasonable.
No, this is just a guy being a gentleman.
Yeah, this woman is kind of a classy woman with some standards. So I thought that women now would be more high maintenance, but it seems as though just any standards are good.
Yeah, and these are just basic standards.
Yeah.
These are classic standards.
Give me something that's like controversial here. Nothing?
Last one. This is the last one. Sidewalk rule. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, walk on the street side.
If you don't know what that is, she says that explains why you're single. I had to look it up. I wasn't sure what the sidewalk rule was, but I do abide by it.
You walk on the side of the traffic.
Yeah. You keep her on the inside, you're on the outside.
Wouldn't you automatically do that for your children?
Oh, gosh. You don't even think about doing it. You just automatically do it.
I think it's interesting to think about all of these things in the context as a parent, like how you would interact with your kids, trying to position them to be independent but still feel protected. Kind of the same.
I think with this last one, though,
especially the out-eat the calories.
What would surprise me is that a woman thinks about that.
Women want to be cared for. They don't want to be thought like they don't want someone who is there who is like trying to do the things for them because they're inept. But they do want to be cared for, not because they're helpless or because they're weak. Sometimes it's because they can do it all and they're strong, so they always do it all, and they're always powering through, and it would just be nice one time to not have to be the person who does it all. Someone steps up and takes it up for you.
I guess we're all pretty high maintenance.
And when you play Backstreet Boys behind it, I feel that.
That's the manly man coming out.
All right, there's nowhere to go but Ethan Sports and Local next. We'll be right back.
Feels like it's deep within me. Doesn't really matter if you're on the run. It seems like we're meant to be. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did. As long as you love me, I know you are who you
Man, it's hard to interrupt this song. Straight to my heartstrings. Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. Let's talk about that. If you have a new home purchase in your future, a lot of the times the first thing you're going to want to do is get pre-approved. That way, when you're actually serious about making an offer on the house, you already know what you're qualified for. You need to go to Stewie and get that pre-approval taken care of. He can turn this stuff around super fast for you. When it comes to using a bagel loan for your new mortgage, you're going to go through the process of buying that home with $0 in closing costs. They're not going to show up. They're not going to be rolled into the loan. It's not a trick. There are no closing costs. That's what the bagel loan is. You can also use the bagel loan for the purposes of refinancing your current mortgage. Maybe you're looking to lower your rate from a high that you got within the last couple of years. Or maybe you want to take some cash out, do some improvements on your home, and you don't want to have to pay the freight to go through the process of getting that mortgage refinance. That's when you call Stewie and you pay no closing costs with the bagel loan. 314-324-4440. It's 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholz of Kaufman Townsley, and here's one of our clients.
The team at Kaufman Townsley really goes above and beyond to take care of their clients and secure them the justice they deserve.
Injured? Call 314-777-7777.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
Heidi Ricken Provost of Ricken Financial understands the importance of financial stability in your retirement plans.
If there's something we can do to help benefit your financial future and provide more strength and stability in your retirement plan, that's exactly what we do here. And we do so on a complimentary basis.
Call today, 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com and join us for Kickin' with the Rickens, Sundays at 1 p.m. right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hold up. Check it out. Sports and local.
Ethan's hard left communist news.
There it was, Ethan's hard left communist news.
So offensive that he was protesting his own segment.
Before he knew what it was.
I'm very upset right now.
I think it's safe to protest whatever the name's going to be. It's probably not going to be flattering to you.
That's true. Has there been any that have been flattering to me that you can recall off the top of your head?
Ethan delivers the news. That's sort of neutral.
Ethan's giant peach.
Boring.
It's Ethan the giant peach.
Yeah.
All right, Commie, let's go. Ooh,
Commie time.
He took it up.
Hey, it's Commie time. It's Commie talk.
It's Commie
with Ethan.
time. It's Commie time. It's Commie time. It's Commie time. Ethan!
We have some Cardinals news today.
Ooh, on Commie time?
No.
The
Let's
red
do a different
birds.
story. No! Stop it! Let's shift the story. I'm demanding it.
You don't want Cardinals news,
Not
okay?
after that, no.
I would like to hear it, but maybe a different
We
intro.
will, but we'll just start
Okay.
in a minute in that story.
Start with something very Bolshevik.
I like this one then, if we're looking to switch the topic a little bit. St. Louis City SC is currently seeking national anthem singers for the 2026
America.
season. And I just was thinking, Ryan, this would be perfect
Give
for
us
you.
just give us a little bit.
I'm going to come in here. I need
No.
somebody to come in here because we're going to do it.
Oh.
Oh, say, can. No, you didn't come in. I'm losing it. You guys, I'm sorry I'm a little bit high maintenance on my anthem singing. Call me a patriot if you will.
Even a
during
little
Commie News.
vibrato in those 2 words that he sang of our great national anthem. It's amazing you could fit that in, but not the first
But
sentence.
how do we get Ryan to audition?
White Claw.
You can.
Oh, yeah, get a beer in me. I'll go down
A
there.
beer? Have you ever had a whole beer?
No. I stop at half
Just
of a
give him a
Hamm's.
little whiff under his nose. He's like, I'm in.
You can submit applications on the team's website where you are required to list your contact information.
Submit, Ryan.
And
Submit
send
what I just
in
did.
a
Except
previous performance.
You have to have somebody coming in as Harmony, though, because that's my...
Who's she?
It doesn't matter if it's a he or a she.
As long as she's coming in.
I'm coming in here.
Or I'm coming out.
They're going to come in here. That's all I need.
We done with that?
Yeah,
Next one?
yeah.
Now can I talk about the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't do it.
What?
I'm looking at you. Ethan.
The Cardinals traded for a relief pitcher in the last couple of days. His name is Justin Brule. They traded with the Cleveland Guardians to acquire him and gave up some cash considerations for him. If you guys remember last year, the relief pitcher, they had John King. He was a left-handed middle relief pitcher.
Ray King.
Nope, that was a little bit longer back than
Ray
last
King,
year.
56. Check my notes.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good.
I remember
That's
Ray
correct.
King. They traded him because of no Kings. But now they got
They
another
traded
King.
him because of Adam Wainwright.
I think you should check your history.
Well, John King was not brought back, and the idea, I think a lot of people look at the similarities in the style of pitchers, and Justin Brule is going to be that middle innings left-handed relief pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2026. It was also the deadline for arbitrations to be settled. So the Cardinals came to agreements with 7 different players, including JoJo Romero, Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Andre Palante, Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, and Matthew Liberatore. Basically, how I can explain this in the most simple way is that
That's usually what we require.
prior to getting to free agency, when you're under team control, the first 2 years that a player is with a team, in most cases the first 2 years, you get the league minimum amount of money. After that, for 3 years, you are arbitration eligible where you basically are offered a number by the team, and if you like it, you can say no, and you go basically into a hearing as to how much you're worth. If you're cool with the number, then that's the number that you're going to get paid. So the Cardinals had 3 players last year they could not agree on numbers with, and they had to do arbitration hearings. This year, that was not the case. All 6 of the players ended up coming up with agreements on their amount of money that they're going to be paid. So, those 6 players will be back in the with the birds on the bat this upcoming year.
I've always liked the name JoJo. It's like one parent said, how about we name our son Joe? And the other one goes, double it, and I'm in.
Where do you come up with this stuff, man?
What do you mean? Like it's hard? What are you even talking about? Good
You know how
grief.
long I prep for this stuff?
Yes.
Moments.
The Mizzou Tigers had a...
The Mizzou.
Mizzou.
Sounds like a festival at the local
You
farm.
misspoke. Why am I even here right
now?
Can't you tell? It's because we need to elevate the show.
The Mizzou Tigers beat the Kentucky Wildcats last night, winning on the road against Kentucky for the first time
Does Mark know?
in the school's history.
Yes.
Both Marks know.
Do not tell Mark.
Does Mark know? What did you say? Did you walk in and be like, MLZ?
No, I said Mizzou.
He's got
You
that
jerk.
UK backboard in his office, and I walked by him, and he was just sadly bouncing the basketball.
Yeah, they're not very good this
Talking
year.
about it.
I believe that.
They are not very good this year. So Mizzou is now 2-0 to start off the season in SEC play, and will face off against Ole Miss on Saturday.
They beat some good SEC teams too.
Yeah, they've beaten Florida and Kentucky so far. And then to finish out college basketball news, SLU had a huge win last night, biggest of the year. They beat VCU, which has been the powerhouse team in their conference the last several years.
It's the first time they ever beat them, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh, I thought it was like first ever.
No,
See,
they beat
more
them last. They beat them
preparation from
last
Ryan
year.
Wings.
They beat them last year. But with the win, SLU is now 14-1 overall, and this, like I said, this is a big win for them, their biggest of the year. So they continue to trend in the right direction. So time to buy in on the SLU stock if you haven't already.
Illinois and Rutgers tonight.
Illinois and Rutgers tonight. Yeah, they had a good win over this past weekend. So they're going to look to continue trending in the right direction as well this evening.
They're currently ranked 16th. They're 11-3, and their 3 losses. They haven't had any bad losses, but I think they're gonna. I'm gonna say Elite 8 this year. That's my guess.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying they could be a Final Four team this year, which
Could be.
I don't know if that would surprise necessarily anyone.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if they got there, you'd be like, well, this is how they got there, but they need a few things to go their way.
Sure,
In the process.
absolutely. It's all about getting hot at the right time. So
As
we'll
you
just
know,
have to wait and
Ryan.
see.
Yep, I got hot real early and I
So
stayed
what do you
there.
think? Anthem? Huh?
A little more.
Huh?
I don't know. I don't want to
You
hurt
should-
the
you
anthem.
should go audition and just sing the wrong anthem.
What? Sir, that's Canada.
Oh, United States.
You got the
remix
tune
it?
wrong. Some of the words reflect some patriotism. Maybe we let him do the opening.
Oh, say can you?
Go sing a Nelly song. You can come up with some good ideas. Actually, it wouldn't be bad for you to do auditions for the job just as a video bit for the show.
It's kind of what I was implying.
Seems like a lot of commitment.
I really ask for the minimum commitment from you, buddy.
You could ask
He hasn't
for a
yawned
little
today,
less,
so we're doing all right.
All right, let's take a quick break. Trisha in studio with Annie. Are you okay? Next. Don't go away. The Retirement Advisory Group, retirementkey.com is the website. Have you considered calling the Retirement Advisory Group to connect on a no obligation, no cost examination of your retirement? That's what the Retirement Advisory Group can offer you. That initial conversation is a very, very helpful endeavor because you're thinking right now, gosh, am I ready to do this? I'd really like to retire. Maybe some circumstances have changed your plans initially that you had set in, and you're thinking maybe I'd like to retire a little bit earlier than I initially thought. Can I? Well, call the Retirement Advisory Group, this initial conversation doesn't cost you a single penny. 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. And you talk to them about where you are, and they will talk to you about how they can get you to the worry-free retirement of your dreams. 314-993-9494. All the details for you online that you can find out about how they work, the reviews that they have at retirementkey.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
You know, there's a certain way we do things around here, the Grasser way.
The Grasser way?
We don't cut corners and we don't take shortcuts. Not on the little stuff and not on the big stuff.
We do the big stuff.
That's right. Whole home generators that kick on the moment the grid gives up. Lights stay on, heat stays on, your family stays safe, so your house stays warm.
And your ice cream stays frozen.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
St. Louis, laugh it up with Jimmy Fallon live at the Factory on January 24th. From national radio to sold-out comedy clubs, Jimmy delivers fast, fearless stand-up that hits home.
The only ones raising tough kids anymore. The redneck babies are going to take on ISIS. The hipster babies are going to battle the evil forces of gluten. You know what I'm saying?
Grab your friends and get ready for a night of laughs. One show, one night only. Don't miss Jimmy Fallon, January 24th at the Factory. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. That's thefactorystl.com.
Bold takes, real talk, no apologies. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Oh, it's Trisha in the house. Hi, Trisha.
Hi, Annie and crew.
Hi.
Hey.
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 Would somebody else say hi to her?
Hi.
Hi, Brad.
How are you?
Ryan's mad at you.
How are you doing?
No, we're fine. I'm just...
Yeah, everything's fine.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I'm just waiting for the content.
We don't have time for pleasantries.
I'm just waiting for the content.
This is the Annie Fry Show. This is no laughing matter.
I think that he thinks that's what his job description is. Ryan Wiggins, waiting for the content.
Especially this segment titled, Annie, Are You Okay?
Yeah, it's his biggest participation in the entire show.
It's my favorite of the week.
All right, well, Annie and I are going to collab on this one. I'm going to start with the headline. Florida man in red lingerie allegedly hid gun under prosthetic silicone breasts.
Let's hear from the sheriff himself tell this story, and I need to know where you were at this time, Ryan.
Now, occasionally, I bring you stuff that you just can't believe, that you'll never get over, that may even scar you for life. But I got to introduce you to this guy. He's not from Polk County, of course. I don't think we got anybody from Polk County quite like this guy. This is Matthew Zaccarino. He's 39. He's from Altamont Springs.
Altamont Springs.
And he's on this construction site in a vehicle by himself.
As people do.
And as our deputies approach him to see what's he doing on this construction site, we see this dude wearing a red lace bra with prosthetic silicone breastises.
How did he find out?
Know what I mean?
Sheriff.
Know what I mean? Vern?
Well, then we notice he's wearing a G-string, showing off the boys. You know what I mean? And then our two deputies say to themselves,
I'm a little conflicted on the boys.
This is highly unusual. But you don't realize how dangerous these situations are, because under a prosthesis, we found a gun. So he was armed trespassing. He said he was on the way to the costume party. We go, okay, where's costume party?
Wherever I show up.
Well, he couldn't answer that, and then he sold up on us and quit wanting to talk at all. Can you imagine that? He's mad at us for trying to find out why he's wearing lace bras with guns and G-strings or G-somethings. Or, ooh, it was ugly. It was so ugly. Anyway, he went to jail.
What are you doing out here? I'm on my way to the costume party. Are you not familiar with the costume party?
How do you, I mean, I guess I'd have to see the prosthetic breasts, to use his words. But, like, he was only wearing a bra, and it was lacy, so maybe it was see-through. How did he see the gun? Or how did...
I don't know.
Where was, like, I need to look in there. I need to...
What's the protocol? What's the protocol for finding out they're fake, first of all, because you don't know? Was he wearing clothes over the lingerie, which was apparently red? We needed to know that. And then,
I think he was, I don't think he, like, was wearing his gym clothes, and they're like, can we see what's under there?
And they're like, oh, a G-string.
Yeah.
Well, I thought maybe he was wearing
You must
gym
be a
clothes,
criminal.
And he was wearing something, like, kind of low cut. Maybe he was sagging a little bit, and they're like, wait a minute.
That seems intentional.
I
You
can
seem
see-
like you're asking for it.
I can see something here. He's walking by a construction site.
Yeah.
Some cat calls.
You know, as people do. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
For Ryan?
Annie and Ryan, are you okay with carrying things in your bra?
Ryan?
I am not.
Your up talk makes me feel like you are.
That is the end of that. I am not. Because if I did, they would be breasts.
My key, my lipstick, my chapstick, my gun.
All in the bra?
I have a bra that has a holster, yes.
Yeah.
So I can legally carry it, though, because I have a concealed carry weapon and boobs that are my own.
It does seem like a nice place to carry things, though.
It can be very convenient.
Cash.
Well, then
Cash money, yeah, for sure.
To
When you're at
this-
the bar, when I was at the bar.
I mean, in this guy's defense, he has the boobs for assumingly, like, not the first time maybe, but,
Yeah, but he
like,
had
it's
to
not
go
like
get
he's
them.
had them forever. So he's like, ooh, this is a convenient place to carry. I don't know.
You know,
So much room for
You know who was
activity.
like, where
Look
the
what I
heck
can
is
do.
Rob? Was the costume party.
Rob and the boys.
Where's Rob? This was going to be a fun night.
Showing him off. So, Annie, you're okay with carrying things in bras?
Yep.
Naked burglar arrest.
Whoa, a consistency.
That's the name of my band.
Also in Florida, naked burglar arrested on Christmas night after allegedly breaking into 2 luxury homes in Florida. Police say a nude man was arrested on Christmas Day after breaking into 2 multi-million-dollar homes in Golden Beach, Florida.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
This isn't normal behavior. Is it? Are these people just high? Like, this is a real question. Or is it a mental thing?
No, I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know this man, but I will say that he has good taste. If he was breaking into some
$12
crap
million
shacks.
Asking a real question, but we're not
$37
doing
million
it for real.
home.
Yeah.
So he was drunk.
Okay,
I
so
think
this
there's
guy
a lot of drinking down there.
Like, if you have to be influenced by something, because I mean, if you're trying to burgle a home because you need some money for whatever it might be, usually drugs. then you do that. But to be naked and do it means there's got to be an additional something involved.
It sounds like he broke into one home. The police say they found the first house disturbed with drinks consumed and clothing on the second floor. And then he
was drunk from the house he burgled?
Yes. And then he went to the second house.
Oh, he wasn't drunk when he got there?
They found him in a garage. I don't know if he
get his priorities
I'd
straight.
assume he was drunk when he got there. But what he did in the home was drank more and got naked.
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 Here's a real question before you get to your question.
Oh, now we're going to do real
Are you
questions.
more
please.
concerned if you walk into your house and there's a naked burglar or a clothed burglar?
I would be more concerned if it was a clothed burglar because I assume, unless the assets are prosthesis, I can see what's there.
Mm-hmm.
True.
If they're prosthesis, there's a gun in there.
So you'd prefer it to be a naked burglar?
Yeah, 100%.
Annie, are you okay with
Noted.
streaking?
No.
But you just said you'd prefer it to
If
be a
you're a
naked burglar.
Well, she didn't ask me among burglars.
If you're a burglar,
She implied,
is it
like,
okay
what
to
am I supposed to
streak?
say to that? Yes. I have two choices.
Are you okay with streaking if you know that they're going to steal something?
Somebody asked my
At
son
a
the other day,
baseball
hey,
game.
does your mom have a podcast? And he's like, yeah. I go, did you tell him I have a radio show? He's like, no. And I'm like, radio show is cooler than podcast.
Yeah, separate us out.
But then we did the Matt Khalil story, and I'm like, God, did they listen? I hope. Sorry, kid. You're toast.
I read more about that.
I'm sure you're when it comes to trying to scratch the itch for Ryan to prepare for the show, nothing like doing a wiener story so we can follow up on it after we don't need to have a conversation.
It was interesting.
Trisha?
No to streaking, eh?
No to streaking. Anybody else? Big
no.
fans?
No.
Oh, we know who Ethan is.
I'm not against it.
Super into it, but he had to go prepare for Reardon's show.
Gotta tell you, if I'm at a baseball game and somebody streaks, I'm not like, I'm not mad about it.
You rooting for him?
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, I think, for 10, 15 seconds.
Is there? Don't you just want him to evade the situation as long as they can?
Yeah.
You know how it's gonna end.
Cheer a little bit.
They don't get away.
No, they never do.
People are getting Brazilian butt lifts and breast implants from donated cadavers.
Oh my gosh.
For these procedures, fat is usually extracted from the patient via liposuction and then re-injected into desired area.
BBL.
Yep, but now they can take it from cadavers. And a board-certified plastic surgeon in Manhattan says she's excited because patients are sometimes too thin or have already had liposuction. Don't worry, before it's injected, the donor fat undergoes a multi-step cleansing, sterilization, and
that's my worry.
purification process.
This is fat clean.
So nobody fear.
Just do it like when you siphon gas. Stick it in there and pop it in here.
Annie, you mentioned BBL. That is Brazilian butt lifts. Are you okay with those?
What's the difference between a Brazilian one and an American one?
Excellent question.
A tan. It just looks better.
We have more obesity.
I want a Midwestern butt lift.
You want a nice looking one, or you want one that's like kind of a lower Wisconsin?
That's like the refined Chicagoans.
Right. All the money's moved there. So
Better than MBL.
Maybe you'd like a lower Wisconsin butt lift.
It's really probably just like a discount store BBL. You would know about those.
If there's a discount, I know about it.
I don't care. Do what you got to do. I don't think you. I don't care what people do with their butts. I'm not looking for one myself. I know if I do a handstand, my body looks like it did before I had 4 kids. So.
You go in for your BBL and you just do your hands.
Here, make it look like
This is what I want.
Honey, get the camera.
That'll be a fun video.
I don't have anything to add because
You rarely do, right? I've never stopped you.
I just can't get past the idea that there are different types of butt lifts. My mind is categorizing them throughout the segment now.
I don't think I can top that.
Okay,
with anything else I've brought.
You're getting
to
played
the
off the
table.
stage.
Joe says if anyone offers you a Peoria butt lift, run.
It's a PBR, not a PBL. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hey, it's your main man, Jimmy Fallon, and I am headed your way. Saturday, January 24th at the Factory in Chesterfield. We are defunding the joke police. So grab your tickets at 971fmtalk.com/events, and I will see you in the loo.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code NEXT for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code NEXT for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code NEXT.
When storm damage strikes or it's just time for a new roof, call my friend Cornelius at C. Marion Roofing. This is Ryan Wiggins. I've used him multiple times for roofs and bathrooms. He's licensed and insured for both homes and businesses. Start to finish, he'll handle your insurance claim and get you the job done right, fast, reliable, and with quality you can count on. I can testify to that. Call C. Marion Roofing today, 314-399-2140. That's 314-399-2140. Or type in C. Marion Roofing for all your projects.
Did you know that 60% of adults over 20 avoid going to the dentist due to deep fear of dental treatment? Knowing that many of our chronic health problems can be directly related to the harmful bacteria in our mouth, not going to the dentist can be very dangerous. Hi, this is Dr. Michael White. I've been helping the dental anxiety patient for over 20 years with anxiety-free sedation. This is very effective and very affordable. Call my office at 314-270-8552. That's 314-270-8552.
The ACA Market Plan has just announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's Freedom of Choice plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has zero outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg, and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, do you believe the Minneapolis ICE shooting was justified? Your options are yes, no, or soon to tell.
Soon.
Too soon to
you
tell.
were so close to the finish
I know,
line.
Just flipping them around.
It's 2:51.
Yeah,
I'll do
we're
it
going
for
to get
you.
the results of this poll in just a couple of minutes. 2:51. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Annie Fry is St. Louis conservative.
The pyramid doesn't work. We've already tried it.
It's upside down.
What?
Sir, the pyramid is upside down.
Turn the pyramid upside down.
You can't be serious. That would put butter and fat at the top
Flip
of
the damn food pyramid!
Get the president on the phone. Tell him to have some steak with his butter.
Tell him to have some steak with his butter. This isn't really South Park, right?
I don't think so.
These are people emulating, because they're coming out with multiple different kinds, and they're all super funny. I think they're funny.
They're also very realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be how South Park is actually doing episodes so fast now. Is they're just plugging.
They've got a program.
They're plug and go.
I think it's hilarious. We haven't really talked much about the food pyramid, but it's an official act by RFK Jr. to say we're going to turn basically the pyramid upside down. But it seems to me that reflects the nutrition message that has been out there for maybe 5 years now or so. Does it mean anything to you that RFK Jr. is now saying, flip that sucker upside down, don't have a dozen servings of grains?
I mean, it doesn't change the way I'm approaching eating, but I think as a larger conversation in society, it means something.
You're like, where's sugar on the pyramid now?
Sugar is always at the top of the pyramid, regardless of what RFK says, and I'm going to go to my grave that way. Early. But whatever is happening within the Health and Human Services, I do think is interesting. And when something like this happens, that's such a, it's an old grade school thing. You go, oh, wow, that's changed now. Okay.
The U.S. Dietary Guidelines got a makeover, according to Yahoo, and a new inverted pyramid that puts nutrient-dense proteins and full-fat dairy at the top and whole grains at the bottom. The guidelines are co-signed by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the central figure of the controversial Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA, movement, and Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of the United States Department of Agriculture. They said to make America healthy again, we must return to the basics. American households must prioritize diets built on whole, nutrient-dense foods, proteins, dairy, vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, and whole grains, paired with a dramatic reduction in highly processed foods laden with refined carbohydrates, added sugars, excess sodium, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives. This approach can change the health trajectory for so many Americans. Let's go. Let's see what they do.
I'm glad to know that I've been eating whole fat dairy for my whole life, and now it's approved by the government.
Yeah, now it's okay. I think that this really does matter in the sense of how the government covers anywhere where they're providing food. So for people who are using SNAP services, for schools, for our military, those types of places will now be under these types of guidelines. The YouTube live chat poll for today, almost 300 votes, folks, 292 in there. Do you believe the Minneapolis ICE incident was justified shooting incident? I put incident for the sake of YouTube. 14% say no, it's not justified. 16% said it's too soon to tell, and 70% of almost 300 votes said they do. Yes, they do believe that it was justified. We appreciate you being with us. If you're streaming us on the Odyssey app, make sure you give us a favorite on that. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app in crystal clear connection wherever your phone is operating. We're happy to be partners with you there on the station app. And if you're streaming, keep it right here because the Mark Roon Show is coming up next.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by Ethos.
The housing market tends to hibernate during the winter.